Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course hit the wee bell for notifications when the next Grain to Glass video is live. So I've just finished doughing in, or I'm in the process of finishing the dough in. Not going into too much detail about the grain bill here. It's 5 kilograms of Irish solder and some salts with a jar of water, and that is it. We're going to mash for the standard 60 minutes at 65 degrees Celsius, centigrade, I don't know what the difference is. And then we'll loose barge, and we will lift the basket, let it drain into the boiler, bring up to a boil, and then yeah, that's basically it. As you can see, the grain pipe is lifted, it's starting to drain out, well it's almost finished draining out, and Brazil is bringing us up to the boil. I've three hop drops to do, which I've measured out previously. I've labelled them 1, 2 and 3 because prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. 60-minute addition, 10 grams of Jester. Previously used Jester as a flavour and aroma hop. Wasn't overly impressed with it. Going to try it as a little bit of a bittering hop. I'll explain all this at a later stage. Why did I use such an aromatic hop as bittering? Then 10 minutes to go. 15 grams of Equinaut, 15 grams of Sabro. And then we're doing a whirlpool of 26 grams of Sabro and 25 grams of Equinaut. It's only 26 grams because I accidentally spilled an extra gram in, but the hops were mixed, so that's just the way it is. Then later, a 3-day dry hop of 60 grams, both of Equinaut and Sabro. So you can't see from over there, but the Brewfather instructions add told me to add an extra 5, well, almost 6 litres of water. I added 5, and we're up to about 28 litres of water, or litres of water in here now, so I'm very concerned about boil over. Got 3 fully head at the moment. We are 79, so we're nowhere near boiling yet, so I'm not going to put the lid on until such time as we hit hot break. Also have a hot drop to do at that time anyway, so there's no point putting it on yet. 8.
This is the least dramatic hot break footage I've ever taken, but it's hot breaking all the same.
Hot drop number 1. Hot drop number 2, including Protoflock tablet. So I'm using an almond American East Coast ale yeast, which I've had some bad experiences with recent past, so I'm doubling up and running 2 packets. It's a long-held tradition amongst homebrewers worldwide that once you're throughout your brew day or at the end of the brew day, you have yourself a beer. I normally don't partake because my brew days are normally before work or before I have to go out somewhere. But thank God today that's not the case because I have had one absolute disaster. The brew day itself went okay. There's no major hiccups. No major hiccups on the actual brew day in terms of turning water into beer. The problem came when the steam condenser yoke. Some of you guys told me I needed to cut the tube. I cut the tube, I cut it too short, turned it on, it's flowing into the basket perfectly. But as all the men out there will know, sometimes it looks as if it's going that way, and then at the last minute it'll dart off that way. Luckily, I was checking on it on sort of a 5-minute basis, but 5 minutes of pissing on the floor. So yeah, I had a bit of a flood, which I had to deal with. So since I was absolutely soaked anyway, we're in the middle of a storm, I don't know what it's called, I've lost track. We've of snow with heavy rain. I'm soaked anyway, so I just decided, you know what, feck it, I'll go out and I'll clean all my equipment, so done all that as well. So I am entitled to a beer. Oh. Okay, so the tail of the tape then. Our mash pH was 5.6. I think it was meant to be slightly lower than that. I didn't bother adding any acid this time because, frankly, it could be worst. The boil volume was 29 litres. The top up water is meant to be 5.43. I added 5, but I think I actually added more than that for reasons that I don't really understand why I done it. I just done it alright. Wouldn't be an Oddly's Brew Co. brew day if I didn't do something stupid for no real reason. Anyway, pre-boil gravity was 1035. That gave me a post-boil gravity or original gravity of 1043, which knocked my brew house efficiency down to 56.81%. Pretty poor, but I know why that happened. It's the adding extra water. Why would I do that? 2 packets of Lalmond, as you've seen, and that is going to give me, presuming we get 78.5% attenuation, that is going to give me an ABV of 4.5%, which is right about where I wanted it. So we're going to have a very drinkable beer in terms of alcohol content. Whether or not it tastes right, I don't know. We're fermenting 20 degrees for 14 days, and we're doing a wee dry hop for 3 days there. 60 grams of Equinaut, 60 grams of Sabro. That's all I have to say at the moment, so I will see you at the tasting video. This is not the beer that I've just made. That would be a flippin' miracle. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The finished product. You can see a bit of carbonation going up the glass there. We've got a nice tight white head, and we have got a lovely golden colour. And as you can see there, we have an accent. So basically, through very much fault of my own, there has been some yeasty boys have managed to make it into the keg, and there's still a bit of sediment floating about when you're pouring the pints. But other than that, in terms of the look, then we're cooking on gas here. We have a lovely golden colour. It's a different colour. It's not the colour you'd expect, or it's not certainly not the colour I expect from Maris Sauter. I just want to double check, was there anything else in that? Talk amongst yourselves. 2, 3. So it's 100% Maris Sauter, so that extra colour and certainly the haziness is definitely coming from the yeast. As you can remember, I used 2 packets of Lalmond's East Coast yeast, so it is sort of a hazy New England IPA style yeast, even though it's not a New England IPA style beer. So just sitting here, I'm getting some nice tropical hints from, like, it's not, sometimes when you open a beer or you pour a beer, you get it straight up your nose straight away. This one here is quite subtle, even though the glass is away from me, it is still quite subtle, and I'm only getting it occasionally, just I suppose with airflow in the room. So it smells quite green and quite fresh. Can't remember when I bottled this, and there is a dry hop in it, so yeah. And get some sort of, it's like tropical, there's lychee. What I'm not getting, considering the amount of Sabro in this, I'm not getting any of the coconut. Let's go in. So immediately, I'll just talk through it as best I can. But immediately, I'm getting it's very thin bodied. There is a strange kind of there's a strange kind of bitterness on the back end of it. I'm not sure whether that is, it's a little bit like alcohol burn, but we're looking at a 4.5%, 4 to 4.5% beer, so it shouldn't be. So I'm wondering, is it hop burn? And I wonder, would it benefit with another couple of weeks in a keg? Given the style of it, it's meant to be an IPA, so I wouldn't have expected to have to condition it for too much, particularly with such a low alcohol content. In terms of actual flavour then, the first mouthful, you're getting it's similar again to the tropical notes you're getting on the nose. But then it is overpowered with that bitterness. We're looking at an IBU here, 45, given that it's a 4.5% beer, that's probably about right. And maybe just palates have changed, maybe, the big hitter bitter beers aren't kicking about as much as they used to be. So I wonder if I just gotten not used to it. What's the opposite of being not used to something? When you were used to something, you're not used to it. I don't know. Whatever it is. It's a little bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie, considering we have Equinaut and Sabro, which are two hops that should work really well together, and apparently they haven't in this beer. And again, I go back and I wonder, is it because I've used the Jester as a bittern hop? I probably shouldn't have really done, but yeah, whatever. One thing I'm really glad of, well, two things I'm really glad of, it's not giving me that medicinal flavour that yeast has given me before. The last couple of times I've used it, I overpitched. I used 2 packets instead of 1 to try and counteract that, because it did narrow that down, that it was definitely the yeast being under too much pressure, too much strain. And the second thing I'm glad of is I don't have any more of that yeast. I'm never going to use it again. I've not had a good experience with it whatsoever, so I'm not going to use it again. There's a lot to be said for just your plain old USO5, your SO4s, your Kolsch yeast. They're clean fermenting, and they do exactly what you want them to do every single time. With that yeast that I used there, I used it once and had one of the nicest beers I've ever had, and since then I have not been able to replicate that yeast character. I've not been able to get that yeast to produce a good beer. Is that my fault? Is that a shortcoming from me? Who knows? But it's gone, and it's not coming back. I'll probably revisit this beer in a couple of weeks' time, see if it has gone one way or the other. If it is a sort of yeast problem, a couple of weeks will make it worse and potentially make it undrinkable. If it's sort of hop burn, alcohol burn, conditioning problems, then a few weeks in the keg will benefit it. So that's really all I have for us this evening, boys and girls. Yeah, I'm probably not going to drink that last mouthful. There's a whole big wacky yeast in it.